លោកលោកស្រីទូរទស្សនិកជនជាទីគោរពនៅពេលនេះពីវិមានមិត្តភាពដែលជាមជ្ឈមណ្ឌលផ្ដល់ព័ត៌មាននៃកិច្ចប្រជុំកំពូលអាស៊ានលើកទី21ឯកឧត្តមកៅកំហួនរដ្ឋលេខាធិការក្រសួងការបរទេសនិងសហប្រតិបត្តិការអន្តរជាតិឯកឧត្តមបានផ្ដល់ជូននៅសន្និសីទសារព័ត៌មានជូនដល់អ្នកសារព័ត៌មានជាតិនិងអន្តរជាតិស្ដីពីការបូកសរុបលទ្ធផលនៃកិច្ចប្រជុំកំពូលអាស៊ានលើកទី21ដែលបានដំណើរការនៅក្នុងថ្ងៃទី18ខែវិច្ឆិកាឆ្នាំ2012នេះដូច្នេះសូមអញ្ជើញទូរទស្សនិកជនទស្សនានៅសន្និសីទសារព័ត៌មាននេះដូចតទៅ
លោកលោកស្រីទាំងអស់ដែលជាតំណាងឲ្យខាងផ្សាត់ព័ត៌មានជាតិនិងអន្តរជាតិថ្ងៃនេះខ្ញុំសូមជម្រាបជូនពីលទ្ធផលសំខាន់នៃកិច្ចប្រជុំប្រជុំកំពូលអាស៊ានលើកទី21ដែលចែកចេញជា3ផ្នែកជាសម័យប្រជុំពេញអង្គជាកិច្ចប្រជុំរវាងប្រមុខរដ្ឋាភិបាលអាស៊ានជាមួយអ្នកដឹកនាំធុរកិច្ចអាស៊ាននិងកិច្ចប្រជុំចង្អៀតរបស់ប្រមុខរដ្ឋាភិបាលអាស៊ានជាលទ្ធផលនៃកិច្ចប្រជុំពេញអង្គយើងឃើញហើយប្រមុខរដ្ឋាភិបាលអាស៊ានបានអនុម័តទៅលើសេចក្តីថ្លែងការណ៍សិទ្ធិមនុស្សអាស៊ានហើយថ្ងៃអាស៊ាននេះប្រមុខរដ្ឋាភិបាលអាស៊ានក៏បានចុះហត្ថលេខាទៅលើសេចក្តីប្រកាសទីក្រុងភ្នំពេញនៃការអនុម័តសេចក្តីថ្លែងការណ៍របស់អាស៊ានស្តីពីសិទ្ធិមនុស្សតឡៃទៀតប្រមុខរដ្ឋាភិបាលអាស៊ានបានកំណត់យកថ្ងៃទី31ខែធ្នូឆ្នាំ2015ជាពេលវេលាដែលកំណត់នៃការយកការអនុវត្តនៃសហគមន៍អាស៊ានបាទតឡៃទៀតប្រមុខរដ្ឋាភិបាលអាស៊ានបានអនុម័តទៅលើការតែងតាំងបេក្ខភាពថ្មីអគ្គលេខាធិការអាស៊ានសម្រាប់អាណត្តិ2013-2017ក្រោយពីអាយដាមសរិនព្រឹទ្ធសវណ្ណអគ្គលេខាធិការអាស៊ានបច្ចុប្បន្ននេះនឹងចប់អាណត្តិនៅថ្ងៃទី31ខែ12ឆ្នាំ2012នេះតឡៃទៀតប្រមុខរដ្ឋាភិបាលអាស៊ានក៏បានអនុម័តទៅលើសេចក្តីថ្លែងការណ៍រួមអំពីការបង្កើតមជ្ឈមណ្ឌលកម្ចាត់មីនអាស៊ានបាទជាឯកសារសំខាន់មួយជាគំនិតផ្ដាំរបស់ប្រទេសកម្ពុជាក្នុងនាមជាប្រធានអាស៊ានសម្រាប់ឆ្នាំ2012នេះតឡៃទៀតអង្គប្រជុំក៏បានពិភាក្សាអំពីការប្រព្រឹត្តទៅនៃកិច្ចប្រជុំវិហារកិច្ចសន្ទនាអាស៊ានជាសកលដែលជាកណ្ដួលផ្ដាំថ្មីរបស់អាស៊ានដែលគ្រូនឹងចាប់ដើមជំហានទី1នៅថ្ងៃទី20ព្រឹកថ្ងៃទី20នេះបាទនេះជាសមិទ្ធផលសំខាន់ខ្លះនៃកិច្ចប្រជុំពេញអង្គរបស់ប្រមុខរដ្ឋាភិបាលអាស៊ាននៃកិច្ចប្រជុំកំពូលអាស៊ានលើកទី21រីឯជំនួបរវាងប្រមុខរដ្ឋាភិបាលអាស៊ានជាមួយអ្នកដឹកនាំធុរកិច្ចការពិភាក្សាបានផ្ដោតទៅលើអនុសាសន៍នៃការស្រាវជ្រាវដោយសាកលវិទ្យាល័យដោយសាលាលីខ្វាន់យូនៃសាកលវិទ្យាល័យជាតិប្រទេសសិង្ហបុរីហើយនៅក្នុងអនុសាសន៍នោះគឺធ្វើយ៉ាងណាការជំរុញឲ្យអាស៊ាននេះមានការប្រកួតប្រជែងនៅលើវិស័យសេដ្ឋកិច្ចបាទដល់នោះទៀតបន្តពីនោះទៅគឺថាប្រមុខរដ្ឋាភិបាលអាស៊ានបានចាត់ឲ្យរដ្ឋមន្ត្រីពាក់ព័ន្ធសិក្សាអនុសាសន៍ដែលបានដាក់ជូនទៅប្រមុខរដ្ឋាភិបាលដោយអ្នកដឹកនាំធុរកិច្ចអាស៊ាននេះបាទថ្ងៃអាស៊ាននេះដែលមុននេះប្រមុខរដ្ឋាភិបាលអាស៊ានបានពិភាក្សានៅក្នុងកិច្ចប្រជុំចង្អៀតទៅលើ4ចំណុចសំខាន់ទី1អំពីសមុទ្រចិនខាងត្បូងបាទនៅក្នុងសមុទ្រចិនខាងត្បូងនេះការផ្លាស់ប្ដូរមតិប្រមុខរដ្ឋាភិបាលអាស៊ានបានឯកភាពគ្នាទាំងស្រុងមិនធ្វើអន្តរជាតិទោបនីយកម្មទៅលើបញ្ហាសមុទ្រចិនខាងត្បូងនេះជាគោលជំហរថ្មីដែលប្រមុខរដ្ឋាភិបាលអាស៊ានបានសម្រេចយកទៅពេលនេះបាទហើយនឹងបន្តការអនុវត្ត DOC ឲ្យពេញលេញដោយមានប្រសិទ្ធភាពបាទ nơi không chậm đến đây cứประมุขรัฐบาลอาเซียนបានឯកភាពគ្នាទៅលើខ្លឹមសារនៃសេចក្តីថ្លែងការណ៍រួមនៃកិច្ចប្រជុំកំពូលអាស៊ានចិនលើកទី15អំពីខួបអនុស្សាវរីយ៍នៃ DOC 10ឆ្នាំខួបលើកទី10នៃ DOC នេះជាខ្លឹមសារបានឯកភាពនេះហើយបាទដល់ឡែកទៀតប្រមុខរដ្ឋាភិបាលអាស៊ានបានផ្លាស់ប្ដូរមតិគ្នាអំពីសភាពការនៅប្រចាំប្រទេសជាពិសេសសភាពការនៅហ្គាហ្សាហើយបានអំពាវនាវឲ្យបញ្ឈប់អំពើហិង្សាដែលកំពុងតែដំណើរការនៅប្រចាំប្រទេសនោះហើយអំពាវនាវឲ្យភាគីពាក់ព័ន្ធត្រឡប់ទៅការចរចាវិញបាទតម្លៃទៀតប្រមុខរដ្ឋាភិបាលអាស៊ានក៏បានលើកអំពីសភាពការនៅរដ្ឋរ៉ាខិននៅប្រទេសមីយ៉ាន់ម៉ាហើយក៏បានគ្រប់គ្រងវិធានការផ្សេងដែលរដ្ឋាភិបាលមីយ៉ាន់ម៉ាកំពុងតែមានការអនុវត្តបច្ចុប្បន្ននេះហើយក៏ជំរុញឲ្យមានការសម្រុះសម្រួលទៅលើសភាពការនៅរ៉ាខិននៅរដ្ឋរ៉ាខិននឹងដែរបាទតម្លៃទៀតទាក់ទងនឹងឧបទ្វីបកូរ៉េប្រមុខរដ្ឋាភិបាលអាស៊ានក៏បានផ្លាស់ប្ដូរយោបល់គ្នាក៏បានអំពាវនាវឲ្យភាគីពាក់ព័ន្ធទាំង6នឹងធ្វើយ៉ាងណាបន្តការចរចាឡើងវិញឲ្យបានឆាប់ហើយតម្លៃទៀតគឺឲ្យភាគីពាក់ព័ន្ធគោរពនៃសេចក្តីប្រកាសរបស់ក្រុមប្រឹក្សាសន្តិសុខនៃអង្គការសហប្រជាជាតិទាំងអស់បាទនេះជាខ្លឹមសាររួមនៃជាសមិទ្ធផលកិច្ចប្រជុំពេញមួយថ្ងៃនេះរបស់ប្រមុខរដ្ឋាភិបាលអាស៊ាននៃកិច្ចប្រជុំកំពូលអាស៊ានលើកទី21បាទដែលបានបញ្ចប់ទៅមុននេះបាទ Let me brief you on the outcomes of the 21st ASEAN Summit, which of course the ASEAN leaders met since morning in 3 separate sessions. First, they began with the plenary session this morning, followed by the meeting between the ASEAN leaders and of course the heads of the business of ASEAN, what we call the ASEAN Business Advisory Council, and followed by the retreat session, which is just concluded a little bit earlier. During the plenary session, the ASEAN leaders adopted the ASEAN Human Rights Declaration, and they also signed the Phnom Penh Statement on the adoption of the ASEAN Human Rights Declaration. At the same time, ASEAN leaders already decided to take the deadline of December 31st, 2015 as deadline for the realization of the ASEAN community building. So this is when the ASEAN community building will start. And also they endorsed the new Secretary General of ASEAN for the new 5-year period that will start January 1st, 2013 until December 31st, 2017. The new Secretary General will assume the position after the current Secretary General, Exercise Prince One, will end his term by the end of this year. At the same time, the ASEAN leaders adopted the the joint statement on the establishment of the ASEAN Regional Mine Action Center. This is something that have been working for some time now, and they agree that ASEAN will establish this regional mine action center. At the same time, they review the order proceedings on the ASEAN Global Dialogue, which is the first initiative, which is the inaugural meeting that will take place on November 20th. And this is a new initiative of ASEAN. It's a new high-level forum which ASEAN leaders and the other leaders of the East Asia Summit will engage with the heads of the international financial institutions and organizations. During the meeting between ABAC and the ASEAN leaders, the leaders listened to the recommendations which based on the survey conducted by the Lee Kuan Yew School of the National University of Singapore, which was initiated by the ASEAN Business Advisory Council. And on the recommendation, of course, the main priority is to how to enhance the ASEAN competitiveness at the current stage of global financial economy. And of course, the ASEAN leaders tasked the relevant ministers to study the recommendations that has been submitted to them by the APEC. During a retreat session this afternoon, the ASEAN leaders spent a considerable amount of time discuss 4 main issues. One is on the South China Sea, the DOC, and of course the COC. The ASEAN leaders decided that they will not internationalize the South China Sea from now on, that they will focus this entirely within the current existing ASEAN-China mechanisms, which is at the level of the senior official, the ministerial, and the leaders, and where they will continue to engage in discussion on the South China Sea. Also, they agreed to adopt the joint statement of the 15th ASEAN-China summit on the 10th anniversary of the DOC on the ASEAN side, and of course also with China, they have all reached an agreement on this particular declaration, which underlined the importance of ASEAN and China to work together on the DOC. At the same time, they agreed to continue to fully implement and of course with effectiveness of the DOC. Another issue that they discussed also is on the situation in the Middle East. They have appealed to all parties concerned to end violence in the Gaza Strip, particularly to stop the killing of the innocent violence in that particular part of the world. Also, the ASEAN leaders listened to the briefing by the president of, by the leader of Myanmar on the situation in Rakhine State, and the leaders support the measures that have been taken by the Myanmar government. At the same time, the leaders finally discussed on the issue on the Korean Peninsula, and they call on the resumption of the 6 parties. At the same time, for all parties concerned to respect the UN Security Council resolutions. So these are the gist or the summary of the outcomes of today's meetings, the 21st ASEAN Summit. I will be now ready to take your questions.
Hello, Achara from Bangkok Post. I have 2 questions, sir. First, the signing of the declarations already finished, but we have yet to get the document in print or digitally. Secondly, you mentioned about the declaration, the joint statement of the DOC to celebrate the 10th anniversary of DOC. So I just wonder, like the draft of joint statement is already finished. So if finished, can you share some points of that joint statement between ASEAN and China? Thank you.
Okay. On the ASEAN Human Rights Declaration, they should be ready to be distributed at this point, since the leaders, ASEAN leaders have already signed the preliminary statement on the adoption of ASEAN Human Rights Declaration and a separate document on the ASEAN Human Rights Declaration. So these documents should be ready, should be distributed now, I think. Second, on the joint statement on the 15th ASEAN-China summit on the 10th anniversary of the DOC. This is a document which has been negotiated for some time already, but ASEAN and China were able to finalize and reach consensus on this document just this very afternoon. So this document will be released when they meet at the level of ASEAN-China summit that will take place, I believe, on the 19th. So that's when the time when it will be released. But I just want to inform you that on the ASEAN side, we have in fact agreed upon already by the heads of states and government of ASEAN. Yes. But yes.
Hi, I'm Ben Bland from the Financial Times. Could you just explain a bit more what you mean when you said that leaders agreed not to internationalize the South China Sea issue? What does that mean? Does that mean it won't be raised at the East Asia Summit? Can you give a bit more explanation about that particular point, please? Thank you.
Okay, I will not try to put my words into our leaders, ASEAN's leaders, but what we're trying to summarize the meeting, what they intended as I come to during the summit, the discussion during the summit. it means that they will take up this matter during their regular mechanism that they have now, meaning that they will have full discussion within the appropriate mechanism that they have established between ASEAN and China. So this is the agreement that the ASEAN leaders had just reached during the retreat, that they believe that they do not want to complicate the matters. It's important that ASEAN will have to engage the party concerned directly and to resolve this issue through the established mechanism that they have, and of course at the levels of senior officials, but also the ministers and the leaders. Yes. Can I take someone else beside, if you don't mind, maybe someone else?
If nobody else, may I ask about AEC?
Okay, yes, okay.
Nobody else asks. The implementation of the AEC, which was supposed to be starting in the 1st January 2015, has been sort of go to 31st December 2015. So what is the explanation of this? Thank you.
Well, there were discussions before whether the ASEAN community will begin on January 1st, 2015, or will be in the middle of 2015, or maybe on the founding day of August 8th of 2015. I think this today the ASEAN leaders took the opportunity to discuss and clarify this issue, that the actual date that they meant is December 31st, 2015. Okay? Yes. I did not hear the briefing by the leader of Myanmar on the details, but what he said during the retreat, that the situation is improving, and that Myanmar government will work closely with the international community on this particular issue, and in fact that they have already arranged the UN and ASEAN and other parties already to visit the place, the Rakhine State, so that they have undertaken certain measures to address the situation there. And of course, the ASEAN leaders expressed their full support of the Myanmar government's undertaking. So this is quite transparent according to what has been briefed to the ASEAN leaders by Myanmar leaders. All right. Well, thank you very much. This concludes my press conference.